Good morning. We hope you are well. It is Wednesday, May the 6th. We're going to be talking to Mary Brady Sharp, Helena Goff, Sean Furlong, any publican that wants to ring in, anybody wants to text in on the thoughts on pubs. Good debates going around whether pubs should open at the end of June, along with cafes and restaurants, whether there should be wait till August. What do you think? Let us know, please. 083 3333 975. Text or WhatsApp. We also are going to be talking about Fianna Fáil. If you're a Fianna Fáil member, a Fianna Fáil voter, do you think it's right to go into government, potentially, with the Greens and with Fine Gael? This is going to be very, very serious. And it's another serious matter. I think we're now down to 84 days before the hairdressers are due to reopen. We'll be talking to a number of hairdressers, including Colin Morrissey in Tramore, a salon owner, regarding if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and how bad is the situation getting. Are you having bad hair days? We have a lot more besides Waterford Area Partnership. Going to be talking to Willie O'Callaghan. We're going to hear about Kawasaki disease. Do you know what that is? We possibly could be going to Italy. We'll be talking to Director of Golf Courses about the reopening potentially and when that would happen of golf courses. And we have issues regarding fundraising in the Lismore and Tallow area. Firstly, I am going to go to Mary Brady Sharp. Good morning, Mary.
Hello, Damien.
How are you keeping?
All right, I suppose.
Okay, and I think we have Helena Goff on the line as well. Good morning, Helena.
Hi, Damien. How are you?
Good, thank you. Mary Brady Sharp, head of the Vintners in Waterford and owner of Brady's in Johns Park, and Helena Goff, owner of the local bar in Dungarvan. I'm going to start with you first, Mary. What is the government plans at present in the phased reopening of the country? Where do publicans fit into this? Just remind people, please, where are pubs and hostelries in this?
So at the moment we're about 2.5 weeks away from entering phase 1. And then for each phase after that, the roughly guideline is 3 weeks. And then at the moment, pubs are in phase 5 reopening.
OK, so what date are we talking about? Is it August the 10th?
Everything going well, it would be August the 10th. But again, the government has said that it could be earlier or it could be later. It will all depend on what is happening with the disease in this country.
OK. Before I go on to Helena, what is your view about this, Mary?
I think we're all trying to find our way through it, Damien. We're all trying to find a path to it. And as a self-employed person, you're wondering when will you get back to business again? And what can we do in the world that we're now living in to make a living and to get back to what will be a new normal? It's not going to be the old normal, and it won't be the old normal for a very long time.
Okay, and tell me, what is your view about it, Helena?
Well, first of all, Damien, we do food here 7 days a week, and the restaurants are getting the go-ahead to go back into business on the 29th of June. So, I would be hoping that because we're doing food 7 days a week, we have a very big food trade, that we would come under that bracket. But, the other side of it is, when we started this virus, Damien, the children in the country were the vectors. And now it seems like the pubs are the vectors. You know what I mean? Because, we're at the stage, we're on week 8 now. We all know what we have to do. And people have to take responsibility. And the pub, the rural Irish pub is very important for people. And I'm meeting all my customers every day that are decimated because they're not coming in to get drunk. They're coming in to have the chat and talk about the GA, and all of that has gone out of their lives. And from our own perspective, we're on day 53, and it's oh my God, we're just devastated because we live over the pub. We're looking at it every day, and I just think it's been really unfair to publicans in general, because if other retail shops, restaurants are going to be opening, we know what we have to do. Everybody in Ireland knows what they have to do. So, we are entering a new norm, as Mary said, and we just have to get there and just get on with it, because the 10th of August, the summer season is over.
It is, yeah. Now, I think with the beauty of technology, we might also have Sean Furlong on the line. Are you there, Sean?
I'm here, Damien. How are you?
Good, thank you. Sean Furlong, the New Geneva in Passage East. So we've got Mary representing the Vintners and a city pub, St John's Park in town. Helena then in Dungarvan, and Sean Furlong, a rural pub. Sean, I know you missed out a little bit on what Mary and Helena had to say. Tell me about your thoughts on the matter, please.
Well, my thoughts are, look, we closed when we were told to close, and I don't think we can open on we're told to open, and we can't open until it's safe to open. Now, we've been on top of this pandemic since the government decided to move on it, to some early glitches. But other than that, we've handled it well. Like, we've 139 cases in Waterford, I see last Sunday. We cannot talk about opening the bars until A, it's safe to do so, and B, it's economically viable. Now, Elena made a great point. When the cafes and restaurants are open, somebody's doing food. Of course they should be allowed to do it. Just like the hotels. Hotels are told to close, but if they have restaurants, leave them open without opening their bars. But I think it's to give dates at the end of June, and the end Leo came on. Leo Radcliffe came on Friday night and said next August. We don't know what's going to happen next August. It could be. Hopefully we'll be on top of it, but we're not guaranteed to be on top of it. So my point is, we can't open it until it's safe to do so. But if they can't have one rule for restaurants, another rule for bars that are serving food, and for the likes of perhaps, or even perhaps a bar that's spacious, or a bar that hasn't got the space. Perhaps they might have some car parking spaces outside. That if they're talking about 4 people per 10 square metres, which won't be economically viable for most bars to open. But maybe the local authorities would allow some tables outside for social distancing. Everybody has to work together at this to make it work.
Yeah, that's a good point you raised, because that has been mentioned in different areas, and I was looking at some other countries and how they've been doing this. They've put a lot of areas outside, and some talk that, for example, you could convert squares and different parts into open bars. But a lot of pubs have been lost, for example, from city centres. I know Dungarvan in the square could well be used, Helena, but I'm just going to ask Mary first. What do you think about what Sean has said there about the idea of changing the rules and maybe having different opening hours and working with publicans to try and come to a solution on this?
And that's what we all want, is a solution. So I think most publicans would look at every measure that they possibly could to get going and to do it safely. But I think I need to point out, and Sean did say it as well, we would need help in that, because our current business model is bunk. It's gone. We won't have it again until everybody is well away from this COVID-19. So what we're doing at the moment is putting proposals together to see how they would be reacted to. It's what we feel we can do. We feel that it would be following within the parameters of social distancing. I know some publicans will feel that they can't make it work for themselves, and I know that some customers would feel that's not an environment I want to be in. So, this is a policy discussion kind of thing, shall we say. And it's hard. It's hard on everybody. Every single sector of small business is going to have its own issues, like hairdressers. Everyone is looking now who's in business now to see what they can do to come back. And this is what we have come up with to come back. And it won't suit everybody. We know that.
And Helena, like a lot of pubs by their very nature are cosy locations. So your bar is quite a thin, long bar. It's a beautiful bar. And the idea of social distancing in pubs and the idea that people will sit 2 metres apart and that this will be policed by the publican, it brings up such a gamut of issues, doesn't it?
It does, Damien, it does. But you have to look at, I'm sure the lads would say the same thing, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. Normally, in any pub, you might be lucky if you have 10 or 15 people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, those in that respect, you wouldn't have a problem with social distancing. And, my whole thing with this is, every business has to take responsibility, but every individual in this country has to take responsibility. We're in the 8th week now, we know what to do, and people are cautious. So I just think to get back to some kind of norm, it mightn't be viable, but people really are, you can see people with their heads down, people that had routines of coming in, meeting so-and-so, talking across the counter. That's all gone. And I really do think the virus is terrible, and it is terrible. But after this is all over, we're going to have an awful lot more problems than the virus.
Sean, Helena makes a good point about the early in the week, Monday to Thursday, and the idea then that some pubs can be packed, and publicans love a packed pub because it's money, obviously, but you can't survive. The economic nature and basis, as what Mary is saying, has changed dramatically. Has it?
Yeah, it is. Like, I mean, the backbone to any pub is your 12 to 15 fellas sitting around the counter. And yes, you could operate doing social distancing, but you still need your big nights. You're going to fill the place, and that's what pays the bills. But now, I'm some way lucky with the premises that I have, because I have a lower bar, and now there's conflicting reports on how many you can put in. They're saying 4 to 10 square meters, but then they're saying 6 to a table. You know, so even at 6 to a table, like that is now, I call myself an average bar that allow 12 customers for me with social distancing in the front, and I'm lucky to have a lounge up the back that perhaps I get another 20 to 24. So yes, it'll be viable for me, but for most pubs, they don't have that space.
Yeah.
You know, and as Alina made a great point, we have bigger problems coming down the line. There's a lot of home drinking going on, and we know home drinking. I mean, every time you turn on the TV and the radio now, every second ad is for domestic abuse. So it's a toxic environment. So if there's people drinking, they should be drinking in the pubs. However, we can't open the pubs until it's safe to do so, and until we have guidelines in place that people are behaving responsibly. And as Alina said, we're 8 weeks into it. People know the story now. It was almost comical when it came first. Social distancing. I'm moving a table. Somebody else is moving and put it back again. You know, people didn't know, but they know now. So I think it'll be a lot easier for us when we do open to police it, because basically the customers now educate like ourselves.
And then the COVID payment, obviously, a lot of publicans are getting it at the minute, and that's fine just to keep things ticking over a little bit. But then the bills start coming in, and you're still paying all the bills, I presume.
Well, this is the big one. Now, Pascal Donoghue came out a few days ago with a number of schemes. Now, he didn't say how he was going to implement it, but it's certainly going to have to be a financial input from the government to pubs, and not just pubs, a lot of business, to kickstart them. Now, whether it's a grant like they did in the UK, or whether it's he's talking about loans below the market value. Now, that could be 5%, it could be 1%. In my view, it should be interest-free. For bars to kick off again, and before we open the doors, it's going to cost money. As the pubs are closed, it's costing money. My pub is down there now, it's costing money. Bills still have to be paid. Now, the breweries were fantastic. I won't name them, but the big ones, they froze everything. But that's fine. When we go back down there, those bills are going to be there. They're going to be live. Same with our bank loans. They're frozen. We're still paying interest on them.
Text in, lifting restrictions so fast in opening pubs means we could have another second wave in August. People won't be able to keep 2 metres away. Another texter, I work in a restaurant, I want to get back to work, but I'm terrified that it won't be safe. What happens if I get the virus? Though I've been compliant, the COVID payment will have been abolished, and it will be scary then. So, Helena, there's so many different issues that this brings up, and at the end of it, obviously, everybody wants to be safe. But we have to start living again at some stage, don't we, in terms of getting out and about?
Yeah, we do. And the supermarkets have been brilliant as well, but the supermarkets were able to adapt to the social distancing and the hand washing overnight. They didn't even have to close their businesses. Like, I keep saying this, we have to be responsible for our own actions, and there will be a certain amount of people in all bars that won't come back because they're of the age that they're vulnerable. You will have people, but I just think even all in Waterford, it's great in Dublin, you might have pubs that are owned by people and they don't work in them, but here in rural Ireland, everybody works in their pub. We work 7 days a week, we work really long hours. It's like as if my arm has been cut off, because you're just looking at it. I'm tetchy all the time, and I just think we have to get back to some normal. We won't need half the staff. We won't need, it is going to be very difficult. But people, if we can work with people, and I know most of my customers will work with me because they're the same. we could get something going. We have to get the country back to some kind of normality.
Yeah, Jean phoned in to 051846123 to say people can buy alcohol in supermarkets, as you were saying, Sean, and others, that it's a dangerous time. People want to adhere to the guidelines. Mary says the 5 stages were introduced for our safety. If they allow the pubs to open too quickly, people need to realise there could be lives at risk. Just got a text in, Mary, from a lady that works in a pub in Tramore. She's an underlying health condition. She's been cocooning since March 13th. She says, I totally understand the publicans want to reopen. It's their livelihood. Personally, I don't think they should be able to reopen until they can maintain social distancing. And this is going to be really difficult because, especially, she says, with a few people with a few beers on board, they haven't seen their friends for ages.
Yeah. So this is why our proposal to the government is the way it is. So it's 4 people per table, 6 if it's a family together, that they have to stay seated, that they will be given table service, preferably they would pay contactless. It sounds really strange, doesn't it, for a pub? It just sounds so strange, but that is where we're at, and that's what we feel we will need to do in order to open. So it is difficult. It's hard, and there's hard choices in there. And
you've responsibility as well. Sorry, publicans, they want to have a responsibility for their staff as well. So
yes.
If people have a few drinks on board and they sort of forget about the social distancing, then the staff have to intervene maybe, and then there's issues. Do you know?
Well, it's time for them to go. It's time for a customer to go at that stage. As Helena said, we all now have responsibility, new responsibilities, and not just protecting ourselves from this virus, but protecting people around us as well. And so it's not ideal. But what we're saying is that if it's not ideal for us as pubs, it's not ideal for restaurants, it's not ideal for anybody really. But we're saying this is what we can do, and this is what we're prepared to do, and this would, in our opinion, keep social distance there. But it's up to government and it's up to the health authorities to say yay or nay on it. But we felt we needed to get something together for that talking point to start talking on it, because for the last 7 weeks nobody has been talking to us about it.
And can I just ask you one question? Any pubs like that are serving pints and maybe food at the minute, or trying to sort of say, listen, let's try and get around the rules a little bit, give away a pint with a meal or anything like that? Like, what do you say? You can understand maybe publicans' frustrations of trying to maybe reopen, but the rules are the rules?
The rules are pubs were asked to close and not operate. I think some pubs are doing a takeout service, and that would have been allowed before. So I'm not certain, that it would be considered illegal, and maybe they feel that they have to keep their staff on the books and they're paying them under the agreement. I don't know of other people's specifics. I just know my own.
Yes.
So as Sean said, the pub is closed, the bills are there, they're getting a bit bigger, and when are we going to get back to a new normal? We are 7 weeks in. This proposal, phase 2, is still another 7 weeks away. That's 14 weeks. And if we were to go another 6 weeks after that, that would be the best part of half a year. So it's very tricky.
Yeah, it is,
and I'm not an expert. I would like government to talk and discuss and work out how we're all going to come to our new normal.
Mary, Helena, Sean, we'll have to leave it there for the moment. Listen, thank you and take care, and we'll come back to you next month and see how things are, if there's any change, OK?
Thanks, Damien.
Thanks, Damien.
See you, folks. God bless. Mind yourselves. Mary Brady Sharp, head of the Vintners there in Waterford, owner of Brady's Bar in Johns Park, St John's Park. Helena Golf, owner of the local bar in Dungarvan, and Sean Furlong, owner of the New Geneva in Passage East. What's the difference, says a texter, between people sitting down in a restaurant and people sitting down in a bar? Another person saying restaurants have a better chance than pubs. In a pub, probably 80% of the people are standing, where in a restaurant it would be a sitting area. Another person saying, I think the pub should remain closed for another 2 to 3 weeks. We've done without them so far. Some people texting in about certain pubs in Waterford City. Others very animated about this and saying that no, we have to maintain it and see how things go. And others are sending in pictures of different pubs that have put kind of not corrugated iron, wood, sort of little partitions between people at tables. 6 people sitting at a table. It's bizarre. It really is. Let us know what you think, please. 083 333 975. Text and WhatsApp. And also hairdressers. We'd like to hear from you as well. We just had a phone call into 051. Audrey is there waiting for your calls. 051 846 123. Mary's a hairdresser. She's been put under huge pressure by people asking if they'll come to their houses to cut their hair. She can't and won't put her own or other people's health at risks, and says it's stressing her out so much. She's appealing to people to stop asking hairdressers to do this. We're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. Firstly, we're going to have a little chat about the soldiers of destiny. Now, we've had emails in as well. People still emailing. Deise today at WLRFM.com, and an email from the Cliffs Bar in Cappoquin says, I can't see social distancing working. I'm going to be talking to Eamon Quinlan in a second. Firstly, a few more texts. It's the summer. There's plenty of room in Ballybricken, for example, for a few tables and chairs. People have to socialise. It's in our nature. Well said, Helena. What people in general must remember that even a small pub has, apart from working owners, 3 to 4 staff, all paying tax and PRSI. Then there's a social element. I'm almost 60 years old, and my idea of going for a pint or 2 or 3 in a chat, roll on the days of reopening. That's from Richie in Abbeyside. Another texter, I'm listening to the struggles of your publicans. There was a pub in town that could open on a certain day, maybe on a Sunday, and you could buy maybe a pint with your meal. Could every pub do this if you serve food? Another person saying that you'll have to have a takeaway licence to do table service and social distancing. Is that possible? Another texter, Trish, says, people don't realise when COVID payment ends, if you earned €150 a week before the COVID, and if you're now getting 350, you're going to have to pay back a lot of money to the taxman. So that might happen. Damien, I feel for the pubs, and all small businesses are in the same boat. For me, it'll be a long time before I venture to a pub. My life and my family's lives are way too important. Eamon Quinlan, good morning.
Morning, Damien.
How are you?
Not too bad. I'm in jeans and a T-shirt, so I'm about as unpolitician-y as I can be today.
Oh, that's okay. There's Tony Gregory set the trend all those years ago, so you might let the hair grow as well. How's the hair growing? We're going to have hairdressers on in a minute. Are you beginning to look a bit like a certain Wexford politician, no?
I'm looking a bit shaggy dog, all right.
Okay.
I have my father keeps offering to shave my head with clippers that he has, but I think we'll leave the whole that look alone for a while.
We're not going to stay too long on this today, but I want to get your views very briefly, if you don't mind. Seamus O'Neill, one of the stalwarts of Fianna Fáil in Tramore and in Waterford, has a front page piece on the Munster Express this week, and this is about Fianna Fáil. You're a Fianna Fáil councillor. What is your view about going into coalition with Fine Gael and the Greens? Are you in favour of it?
Well, I've spoken to both Deputy Butler and Micheál Martin on this very issue. As the situation is constantly evolving, about a week ago we only had Fine Gael, now there's the Greens on board. I told the two of them that I would wait to adopt a final decision until a programme for government, if and when it appears, and I can then assess it and see is it any good for the people of Waterford and the people of Ireland as a whole. Obviously my instincts would be opposed to this kind of a coalition, and not because you can't talk to other parties or even work with other political parties. We do it here at a local level all the time. But when you do get to central government, you have such a wide room of movement on things like taxation, security, policy around this, that and the other, economics, healthcare, education. Building a coalition of like-minded parties and politicians is needed to have a stable government. And I think at the moment, Fianna Fáil is struggling to find that across the political spectrum. And naturally, we're having a debate within Fianna Fáil at the moment by a lot of our Fianna Fáil members who, are expressing both pro and anti sentiments. Seamus O'Neill, I know him, he actually lives in my constituency. He articulated his point of view, whereby he would be opposed to such a coalition. And naturally, look, it's up to the negotiating teams of all parties to produce a programme that will bring people like me and others on side. And until they do that, we will obviously reserve what I would call a healthy degree of scepticism on such an arrangement. So
you're not one of these Fianna Fáil people that says no way, no coalition with the Greens or with the old blue shirts, as some Fianna Fáilers would say?
Well, actually, my family heritage would very much probably be that way. But look, to be honest with you, Damien, people in general aren't generally, enthused with politicians fighting each other. They want to know what politicians are going to do for the country. I would be, I think, acting quite disingenuous if I adopted a position before there was a program for government, or before there was something there.
That's fair enough, because what we'll be doing this week is getting the views from different councillors. We're going to be talking to hopefully John O'Leary and Jason Murphy and other councillors tomorrow as well, and different people. Can I ask you before we go, Eamon, I had a text in from somebody who was up in Carrickfearish Road recently and was looking at halting bays, the halting sites up there, and new bays being built. Are there new bays being built up there?
So, not to go on we'll try and keep this level, but to be honest, what's going on with what's happened at the moment is the council, as in the executive, without consultation with the councillors, has used emergency powers that are embedded in the CEO's position during COVID-19 to move mobile accommodation into a site in Carrickfearish that had previously been voted down by the councillors to be used for such a purpose. There was 2 caravans on the side of the road. We said that if they allowed this to happen, it would only encourage more to do so. There's now 8 caravans up there, so that's going against social distancing. I've got 2 toilets out on the side of the footpath. I've got hoses running across the road.
What do you mean you've got? There is up there.
Yeah. Not me personally. We've got there's 2 toilets on the side of the road. There's hoses that for the last 3 weeks have been running across the road. All motors had to drive over it. I now have reports from locals that there's a fence that's been erected that has 2 car batteries attached to it, electrifying it. I've got videos sent on to me by people living in surrounding estates of kids smashing up cars, throwing stones at houses, running back into the halting site. I've got a lot of loose horses in the area. The council had hired a contractor. The contractor went up to try and remove some of the horses. The contractor left without removing the horses because the contractor was threatened to be killed. I also have members of local animal.
Well, again, that would be like that's his line on this at the minute. Obviously, we can't prove that, and we can't dispute that. I know what you're saying, and that's what he has told you. But can I ask you specifically, what has the council said to you? What has the city manager said to you? What have the director of services said regarding this?
So I've spoken to several housing officials. I've spoken to the CEO. I've spoken to our director of services. One official, not the CEO and not the director, but one official, when I put it to them, that effectively what they were doing is they are applying the law subjectively here, and that they're using COVID-19 to sneak through a long-term halting site that they couldn't get through in normal times. I was told that, look, that's just how this works.
That's what you were told. That's how this works.
Well, when I said you're applying the law subjectively,
they said, yeah, that's how it works.
They said you've been around long enough now as a councillor. You're 6 years in it to know what's going on.
Okay, we will follow this up. Eamon, good to talk to you.
Thanks, Damien. Bye.
Thank you very much, Eamon Quinlan there, Fianna Fáil councillor in Waterford. The last time Damien Tiernan was seen buying a pint in the pub, Dick Turpin robbed him on the way home. Thanks, Matt. Good man, Matt. Another texter. I think we should stick to what the government have asked us. It's hard for everybody, but we should stick to the roadmap. Nothing is more important than keeping people healthy and alive. All these people talking about COVID payment and tax will have to pay on it. Remember, the people in government, the government put us to work and they offered us the money. We have to remember that. Good morning, Damien. The Greens should remember they got transfers from Sinn Féin. Another texter from somebody in Kilmac. I think we have to lift the country, give the country a lift. If every country put out colours, get your Waterford colours out. Larry says, open the apple market, a fine big area, roof over the head for the Irish weather, plenty of room for social distancing. Good morning. If you're allowed 30 people in your bar, what happens if you refuse number 31? A regular. Publicans over 66 don't get the COVID payment as well, says this texter. Very good point. Good morning. The vast majority of people don't want pubs or betting shops closed for another few months. Let's not undo all the good work. Another person saying, let's keep the pubs shut. Some bars are very small. It'll be very difficult to get social distancing until a vaccine is found. 083 333 975. Next, hair, rat's tails. Oh my God. Now, well done, Damien, on saying St. John's Park. Nice one, says Joe. No problem, Joe. You're very, very welcome on that. Margaret says she needs a trim and a colour and is asking, would it be okay to get the trim and the colour in and then wash it out and blow dry it herself at home? She thinks it'd be safer and less time consuming. Also, slight issue with the number 051 846 123. So if you want to ring in, 051 87 2248. 87 2248. And on the line now, I think we've got Colm. Good morning, Colm.
Good morning, Damien. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thanks. I'm wonderful. I'm follically challenged, so my daughter was able to shave my head there nearly 2 months ago, and it hasn't grown back very much, so I'm grand. Colin Morrissey, Tramore salon owner. Thanks very much for joining us. We're going to have some very specific questions that people are going to ask about hair at the minute. Firstly, the black market.
The black market, yeah.
Tell me about the pressure you're under. We just had a text in from a hairdresser. The pressure that she's under. Tell us about people making phone calls to you or saying, come on, Colin, come on, just come and do my hair.
Well, I've been absolutely inundated, as you can imagine. First of all, especially as a salon owner, you're taking on the responsibility of all the staff. So each client, for each staff member, it's constant. So going for a walk is a bit of a nightmare. Supermarket's a bit of a nightmare. And phone call-wise, then you're talking your Facebook, your Messenger, your Instagram, your emails from the salon, your direct line. It's constant. So we have tried to put a little bit of a halt to it where messages will only be answered at certain times because it is constant. It really is. But you can't blame people. I mean, they've already stretched out this far, and now they've been asked to stretch out again for another 2, maybe 2.5 months. So it's quite a long stretch. Particularly when they would have fitted in probably 2 salon visits by now, or especially if they just missed a salon visit as we closed down almost 2 months ago.
It's there's still 84 days left if we agree with the government. 84 days. I know there's people listening to this now tearing their hair out. If you've long hair, talking to a few of the female members of staff here in the building this morning, if you've long hair, you can kind of tie it up. What about extensions? What about people that have extensions?
Oh, well, extensions are way down the track. I mean, extensions, they're going to have to, like, if they're falling out, just leave them gradually fall out. They can use a sulfate-free shampoo to stop the bonds from breaking. Basically, that's the piece that holds them in. That's the best, really, we can do at the moment. It'll be a while before. I mean, what's going to happen when the salons reopen is we're going to go with the easier services first. So somebody that needs a quick tint and a cut will probably be seen faster than somebody that's put in a home colour and needs a 3 or 4 hour sitting. So when salons reopen, we'll be kind of looking at it more like the position in a salon rather than booking in with, say, you'll be booking in a particular stylist, but that stylist is taking up a particular seat for a certain amount of time in the shop. So with that, if they're taking up maybe 3 or 4 hours doing a colour correction that somebody's messed up, we'd probably have 2 or 3 people in at that stage. So we'd be trying to get in as many people that need saving first. So people that are using home colours or home dye jobs, please stop. If it's a mess, it won't be fixed till further down the track, unfortunately.
But you can understand, like Margaret phoned in, she needs a trim and a colour and is asking would it be okay to get the trim and the colour in and then wash it out and blow dry it herself at home. Like, it's an awful long time to wait. Like, there's greys. It's terrible.
What we're hoping for is, I mean, we were originally in phase 5, so we weren't supposed to be open until the middle of August. Then the IHF lobbied and we got us up to phase 4. Now we are lobbying again to hopefully get to phase 3, because what we must remember is anybody going back to work in phase 1, 2 and 3 really don't want to go back to work with roots, long regrowths in their hair. Also as well, like, you have to consider people going back to work, they've had a bit of a confidence knock as it is, especially been off for so long, and then trying to get people back to work. I know for most part I've enjoyed my little break, so trying to get people back and then giving them, they need a confidence boost as well. So, how you look obviously is hugely important to people. So giving them that boost, getting back into work, will be really, really important. So we'd be hoping we're hoping as an industry to try and at least get into phase 3, and that brings us back only to, I think it's the 29th of June, so it's still another 2 months away, so it is a stretch.
There's a few people texting in. We've been trying to ring them there to give their views on it, but their phones are engaged at the minute. We had a text in from a lady. I know the pubs are being missed, but please, please, please open the hairdressers. I look like Sonic the Hedgehog now. I'm a nurse and I'm starting to be stared at. My hair is that bad. P.S. I love the show. And Teresa texted in to say, if Colin doesn't reopen soon, I'm going to look like cousin... cousin from one of the cousins from the Addams family. What about those with short hair? And what about a woman who's there and she thinks, okay, I might do a little bit of a trim myself. No, I might let my husband or my boyfriend or my daughter try and do it, and they try to cut a bit around the back or maybe a little bit at the fringe at the top. Like, there's not much you can do with short hair. You can't tie it up.
You can do, like, it has to be left to the professionals, So if you can use a product that maybe sweeps the back out of your eyes, or you can clip it up out of the way, or tie it up in something. That's kind of the best advice we can give. We can't advise cutting your own hair or getting somebody else to cut it, although it will add to the comedy value when we do get back to work. So there isn't really much we can do in the meantime. Like, our hands are literally tied, and I feel this is the most frustrating bit, is that we can't help people. There's, when I get stopped 20 times a day and it's, when you open, I don't really know. And we have the guidelines that we have, but we are pushing for something a bit earlier. But then if there's something we can do in the meantime, there's not a lot other than using, like for colour, the best thing to do is to use a root touch-up spray. Get as close to the colour as you have and just spray it into the root area. That will camouflage it. And all the supermarkets and the chemists do have a supply of them. We had them here in the shop and we did sell out quite quick. We're hoping to get another batch in. That's really the best thing for maintaining colour, or to keep it at bay.
Because if you try and do a patch job or a patch-up test, like if you buy an expensive box online or whatever the case may be, and you do a little patch test behind your ear, and you find that it might react to your hair. Like, I've known of some women that have...
A lot of people tend to buy a box colour. Say, for instance, if you buy a box colour in the chemist, you have to do a skin test 48 hours before you put on the colour. So if you do a skin test, you've technically opened the box and the colour has gone off. So you need to buy two boxes. You need to do one for a strand test or a skin test, and then one to actually do the colour. And then you're not guaranteed the results either. So most people will just open it up, pop it on their head and hope for the best. So we're strongly advising against that. Those box colours are based on an average head of hair. When you come to the salon, we specifically get a formula that's suited to your hair type on your natural base, how light or dark you are. And when you're just picking up random box colours in a supermarket, it's disastrous normally,
Yeah, I've just got a text in from Mary, and she's showing me pictures of her husband. She cut her husband's hair last night. Not a bad job. Coletta said, most people just need a haircut. Would hairdressers consider dry cuts? You could be in and out in a short period of time.
No, when we do open up, there will be no dry cuts whatsoever. Now, we don't tend to do them anyway, but I know that one of the guidelines set out by the Hairdressing Council will be no dry cuts. So everything is washed, sterilised, hygiene.
Oh, because of the sterilisation thing.
Exactly, yeah. So the dry cuts are no when we get back.
What about highlights? What about highlighted hair? This texter is asking.
Highlighted hair, again, just wait. You're going to have to wait it out. What I would say to you is, if your hair's getting a bit brassy, to get like a silver shampoo or something with a mauvey base in it, and that's going to neutralise any brassy or yellow tones. So it'll stop it from it will break up the band between the dark at the root and the brassy colour on the end. The colour will just look a little bit more natural. So something like that would work best, but we don't recommend trying to highlight the root or use anything on the root at all.
Yeah, another texter. Good morning. I was due to get extensions removed before lockdown. I was so desperate to remove them due to matting from regrowth. Then I Googled it and removed them myself. It did take me 3 hours, but I got them all removed. Actually, not too difficult. Unfortunately, now I feel very bare without my locks.
Okay. Well, you just have to wait for the salons to reopen to get your new locks again. Yeah, that's kind of it. But there will be there'll be significant changes when we do open up again. There's no harm to point out while we're on air. When we do get back into the salon, obviously we will all be social distancing. What we will be asking clients to do is to try not to bring too much stuff with you to the salon. Number one, kids are no. Number two, your bags, coats, all that kind of stuff. If you don't need it, don't bring it, because the less stuff that we have in the salon, the more sterile the salon is. So that'd be a big thing. And just your contactless payment as well would be the most obvious thing to bring.
Would you, on a serious note, Colm, would you be advocating a reopening of hair salons sooner?
Yes, 100%.
Okay,
yeah.
Why? And why do you think that could work within the social distancing guidelines? Like, could you open tomorrow?
I would still give it another few weeks. I do agree. I think the country has done a great job of what we've done. We've come this far. Waterford has been amazing. So I get all that, and that is fantastic. I do feel when phase one starts to go back or into phase two, we're definitely ready around then. Of course, we understand that we are touching off a client. It is closer contact than other industries. I do feel for people's mental health, for the feel-good factor and just getting back as a society, it is extremely important to have the hairdressers back open. We've also gone back earlier, one of the earliest trades in most other European countries, so it's really only Ireland that we're at the end of the list. All around Europe, all hairdressers are already back. So we are, last in the queue for some reason in this country. But I think in those countries, the idea has again been people's mental health and, a bit of a feel-good factor. People have kind of been through enough, so everyone needs a confidence boost.
Very much so. And Mary phoned in to say she doesn't understand. A lot of men don't understand how important women's hair is to them. Another texter, thank God for silver shampoo. Others saying some hairdressers are giving out about people deciding to use a home hair colour, and really they have to do it. Like Sinead from Carrick phoned in to say she coloured her hair and it's fab. So is it a case that it might work for some people?
Exactly. Some people, it's a real look at the draw. A handful of people will get away with a home colour. But who are they? Which ones is it? It's very hard to pick. So it's just not advised. It really, really is not.
And can you see, when you're walking out now doing your social distancing walk, do you see people and could you recognise,
some of it's quite funny, yeah. I'm entertained on my way, yeah, definitely. But I can see people are frustrated as well, so that's, it's that. I think what will happen is, if we're delaying the opening too much, like way down the line, 20th of July is too far away, it really feels like our hands are tied. The black market is wide open. I mean, people will give their firstborn now to get their colour done at this stage. So it's really, it's that breaking point. People are, especially if they're going back to work, if somebody's offering to do the colour in a shed somewhere, they will go and get it done. They're not going to wait, especially if they're going back into the public. So
how much money have you been offered to do backstreet hairdos?
I've been offered a few pounds, yeah. I haven't taken it yet.
Go on. What's how much have you been offered? €100?
Different. It's more guys are like, I'll give you 50 quid if you cut my hair. So the women are just happy to get it done. I think they're used to paying for having their hair done. But guys particularly are, definitely had a few 50s been thrown at me, but I haven't taken them up on the offer yet.
Yeah, and you're right, because another texter, it would be a disgrace if any hairdressers go to people's homes to do it at the back, because you just don't know. The virus is still out there in the community and you could be bringing it back anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, here in the salon, I know every salon is different. Our salon's quite large and airy, so we can easily have somebody in one seat and nobody in the next one. So there's plenty of social distancing can go on, and the salon is quite sterile. So, I mean, that environment compared to somebody's kitchen where you're chatting and you're quite close, no masks, gloves, etc., it's going to make the situation a lot worse, So I think the safest option is to have us back in the salon, because I've no doubt hairdressing is going to happen anyway in the next couple of weeks. By the time we get to the 18th, the stretch has gone on too long. People aren't going to wait. So hairdressing is going to happen. So what we're asking the government is, can it happen in our salons rather than somewhere else?
Okay. Colin Morrissey, Tramore Salon hair owner, thank you. And
you're very welcome, Damien. Cheers.
And are you doing your own hair, no?
No, it's gone. My hair is hideous. My fiance's going around, he's got amazing hair. And mine is, he's got the best hair in Tramore, and mine is hideous. So no, not at all.
Take care. Mind yourself, Colin.
Take care.
Thanks very much. Colin Morrissey there. Jackie in Clemmeden just texted in, the husband and the dog got a little trim last night. Just the bitty bits at the ends. Thanks, Jackie. Now, a lot of people texting and ringing in. 083 333 975, our text number. The SE2 promo, in other words, the company we're working with to promote heroes in the community. Text the word hero and the name of the person and why you think they should be a community hero, and to 083 333 975, or you can call Audrey, or you can email us in, or you can get in touch via the website. Thanks to SE2 for helping that. Weekly €250 voucher. Box Colours says this texter are made to be easy, and they're sold €18 for two. Can't go wrong. Follow the rules, including the test behind the ear every day. That's the most important thing, says this person. Another texter, I use my own hair colour for years and no problem. People have said how nice it is. Another texter, I need to go to a hairdresser. Please, can you recommend somebody? I always used shop-bought hair dye. When I was one of the lucky ones, when I got colours from hairdressers, I didn't get a patch done, says that texter. Another person sending in pictures of their hairdressers and what is happening with their hair. Good morning. I think table service in some pubs will be a nightmare for the staff who have to walk around taking orders and delivering drinks. Would it not make more sense to put up perspex screens with a gap underneath so the glass can slide under it? The customers could order at the bar as usual, social distancing of course, and then just sit down. You have to think of the staff. Table service will mean more staff needed for less customers. Keep up the information highway and all the information. Another person, I've cut my own hair and it's grand. People then texting about getting bloods done and issues about going to the emergency department at University Hospital Waterford. I went there. I was told to go there by the care doc, sent 2 weeks ago with high heart rate, blood pressure and ketones in my urine, high blood sugar levels. This was all done through care doc, which was excellent, but I was really, really unwell. I got to A&E with my letter when I arrived. Someone leaving said to a doctor, asked me who'd sent me there. I said it was the care doc, and he said, you should have actually had a phone consultation first. After waiting an hour, I got triage, asked to do the urine sample, bloods and ops. I gave the urine sample. 5 hours later, called in by a doctor, asked to explain about the letter, not really told why I was being there, and asked about COVID-19 patients and how they were being dealt with. Asked if she checked the urine, told she couldn't find it, didn't have the matter. And basically this person is saying that she had a bad experience at the emergency department and she didn't feel very welcome there. Let us know please, 083 333 975.